Oh, hello, hello. Post gym check in. Blah, blah. It's about quarter to nine in the PM. Uh, Quarter to nine, December. Shit, 16. It's my youngest nephew's birthday. Darian, if you ever watch this, happy birthday, buddy. If he has a phone, I don't have his number, so I don't know how to call him. So I text his mom and said, "Listen, tell your son I said happy birthday." Um, anyway, yeah, I'm just kind of finishing up on my computer here. I've been at it for a long enough day. I think I'm going to go for a wee walk, get some air, and then have a shower, go to bed, and repeat the whole process tomorrow morning. Woo! Yeah, it's interesting, man. I've been using AI. So for months, years now, I was using ChatGPT when it first came out. As a developer, I was tipped off on it pretty quick, and I had used previous large language models and software development, and it had like auto completion in my editors and tools and stuff that I'd played with a bit, but a lot of the time it made things worse, and it wasn't really convincing of to being a great tool. But ChatGPT was a game changer. That for me was an eye opener. I was like, whoa, uh, doing things like copying tabular data out of Wikipedia and having to format it manually so it was runnable in the code, or changing the column orders or whatever, was something I would either do manually, and if the records were over 100, I would write a script that did it, and that in itself would take a day or hours anyway. And pasting that into ChatGPT and it gave back the answer the way I requested it was like a ding, lights went off. And since then, man, I've employed it in my everyday life. I use AI for everything: financial management, planning, my health and dietary, but for work, what I do, working with code, of course, it's every second I'm using it. And it's the most incredible tool I've ever had, man. With my ADHD, it lets me work on multiple things at once simultaneously, and I get work done. I'm not lying. The amount of work that I've done in the last 2 months, 2 months, 2 weeks of working. Prior to that, I wasn't able to work because my mind was not there. I was just so I needed to heal, and that meant lots of relaxation, reading, and just chilling out and not doing anything. And about 2 weeks ago, that all changed. I started to get my technical itch back, and I've dove into it head first. And I'm not I'm not going to stop. And I'm watching a lot of these self help type videos, and these gurus often talk about stepping away and relaxing and unwinding from AI. And I'm reading this stuff going like, no, hey, are you nuts? Like, I'm getting a phenomenal amount of work done. To say 10x is an understatement, maybe closer to 100, especially in areas where I'm not 100% proficient. I work in a language called PHP in web development primarily, in a framework called Symfony. It's a highly sophisticated framework, but um, I'm comfortable in them, so I move very quickly, and I can use AI, and I don't really need it, but I'm still finding ways of using it to expedite work that I would normally have done manually. Whether it be programming my IDE to run commands based on certain events and triggers and whatnot, or regardless. But it's especially useful in technologies that I understand the high level concepts, but not the low level mechanics of it. I'm building a automated infrastructure in Google Cloud right now using a tool called Terraform. Um, and Previously at my employer, we were on AWS, and I can't remember what we used. Might have just been the native AWS platform tool, Cloud Build, I think, or Cloud Formation. That's what it was. But so very similar. I'm familiar with the high level mechanics of it. I get it. I've used infrastructure building tools and CM configuration management for a decade at least. So I'm familiar with the high level commands, but the syntaxes are always different. And if I was doing this manually, I'd be maybe done the first script. And because I used AI and understood how to prompt it with high level commands and requests, it's literally generated about 10 scripts for me to build the infrastructure that I need to host websites. And it's done it it works. I've tested it. I'm manually testing everything. And yeah, I mean, this would have taken me 2 weeks, and I've done it in about a day and a half. So how is that for time use? And I'm all for it, man. I'm like, give it to me, more, more. So anyway, these people that talk about slowing down, I'm saying no, speed up. And these other people that are saying things like, AI is, go back to the basics and don't use AI. I'm like, no, I disagree. Um, the other thing I wanted to mention, I've been talking to a couple people recently. Ran into some elder gentleman at the gym in the hot tub, and then the owner of the therapist place that I work at, or I go to for therapy. He owns the place, and they've all talked. We've all kind of talked about working from home and the risks of working from home. And a lot of people, as I tell them, like, I'm not interested in going back to an office. I don't want to work for someone else. If I do, that's because there's a gun to my head and I have no choice. I haven't managed to figure out how to make money on my own with my own business and my own desires. And I hope it doesn't come to that. I mean, I'll do it if I absolutely have to, but I'm a cog in the wheel, man, and I'm participating at the highest level that I can emotionally. But, I was good the first year at my employer. I was gun ho. And every time my ideas got shot down or I wasn't allowed to do things the way I wanted to do them, they forced me to drop the IDE that I'd learned over a period of 15 years. I use a tool called PHP Storm by JetBrains, and it is by far, hands down, the best tool on the market. I showed people on the team. I said, like, look, it's got tight Git integration. It's got this, that, bing, bang, boom. I showed them all the bells and whistles. I said, if you've got a question, come to me. I've used the tool for almost 20 years. I know what I'm doing. And it was a decision made above me that it was like, nope, we're using Visual Studio because that's what the industry standard is and it's free. Like, you took away about 7 tools in the sweep of a leg and kicked me out and dropped me to my belly and knocked me out of breath. And the little losses like that to an employer, man, made me realize, like, I am not cut out for corporate culture. This is not the right tool to use. Everybody that's advocating it is lazy. They've used it. It's simple. It's minimal. So there's a low learning curve. But using a full enterprise scale tool like Visual Studio proper or PHP Storm that's the way to do it. And there was one team on that company list that used Visual Studio because they were a .NET team, and it was enough that I almost contemplated jumping ship and going to that team. Funny enough, I ran into the manager or supervisor of that team yesterday at Stupid Store, and I didn't know what to say to him. Just kind of nodded and walked away. So, Scott, if you see this, sir, I apologize for that. And I'm going to try and find the guy on LinkedIn and just say, look, man, I apologize. Anyway, he was a good dude and he had an interesting team. So, anyway, long story short, these people that are convincing me or trying to convince me, they're not trying to convince me, but they're telling me that working from home comes with its own risks and da 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 da. And most people that I've talked to have expressed a similar interest where they're like, well, once we got used to going back to the office after COVID, it was fine. And a lot of people have the common opinion that they'd be worried they wouldn't have the discipline to work. And it dawned on me today talking to my parents because my mom kind of mentioned that. And I was like, Mom, listen, here's the thing. I love what I do so much. I don't need discipline to work. I need discipline to remember to step away from the computer and wash dishes and have a shower and feed myself and the cat, right? So, hi, kitty. He says hi. So anyway, yeah, it's a different problem that I face, man. I enjoy what I do, and I can spend literally 3 days without sleep is the longest I think I've ever gone, where I literally did not leave the computer. I was so invested in solving this problem at hand. I legit didn't sleep. I didn't shower, and I might have eaten and used the bathroom as necessary. And that was 3 days in a row, and probably about the age of 15 or 16 years old. That was me just obsessed with solving this problem. That's the ADH and the D maybe in me somewhere, but that sounded weird. Anyway, it's a good problem to have when you're faced with the dilemma that I'm faced with, unemployment and figuring out how to run your own business and make money and live life according to my timeline and schedules, man. Being able to go to the gym at 9 in the morning or 12 or 11 and that, whatever. If I want to go to the gym now at 9, it closes at 11. If I was my own boss, I could fucking do that. I wouldn't have to worry about waking up in the morning. And I like being an early bird, man. I like being up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock and kind of getting my day started quick. So it wouldn't be an issue. But my only concern in the past was drugs and alcohol. That would make it very difficult for me to work from home because, given the right woman or influence, man, I would very easily be like, well, I work from home. Who's going to know if I get fucked up tonight? And And I did that a lot, and it ended up costing me everything. So, what is that show to go? Yeah. Anyway, guys, 10 minutes. Thanks again for listening. Much appreciated. Love you all. Beautiful eyes, beautiful ears. Can't say enough about you. If you're listening this far, holy cow, thank you. If not, totally get it. It's a mental brain dump. Peace.